The placement of Mars in the 11th house of a natal chart is akin to dropping a stick of dynamite into a crowded community hall. It is a placement of high social friction, immense collaborative energy, and an unyielding drive toward the future. In the realm of astrology, the 11th house governs friendships, social groups, humanitarian goals, and our hopes and wishes. When Mars, the planet of action, war, and libido, occupies this space, the individual's social life becomes the primary arena for their self-assertion. The social warrior. For those with Mars in the 11th house, friendship is rarely a passive experience. These individuals are the stirrers of their social circles. They don't just join a club, they lead it, reform it, or occasionally burn it down to start something better. There is a palpable restlessness in how they interact with peers. They are drawn to people who are as energetic and ambitious as they are, often finding themselves in groups centered around sports, activism, or high-stakes professional networking. However, the god of war doesn't always play well with others. This placement often indicates a my way or the highway approach to group dynamics. While they are fiercely loyal to their allies, they are also prone to sudden arguments or competitive rifts within their friend groups. They possess a low tolerance for social pretense and will often be the ones to point out the elephant in the room, even if it disrupts the harmony of the gathering. The engine of activism. Beyond simple friendships, the 11th house represents our connection to the collective. With Mars here, the individual is often a crusader for a cause. They aren't content to simply sign a petition, they want to be on the front lines of a movement. This is one of the most powerful placements for social reform and humanitarian work. The aggression of Mars is channeled into a fight for the underdog or a push for technological and societal progress. They possess an incredible capacity to mobilize others. Their enthusiasm is infectious, and they can act as the engine that keeps a non-profit or a community project running when others lose interest. However, they must be careful not to alienate their collaborators by being too demanding or impatient. The challenge here is learning that true collective progress often requires the consensus and soft power that Mars naturally finds tedious. Chasing the future. The 11th house is traditionally associated with our long-term goals and the realization of our hopes and wishes. Mars here provides a relentless, almost obsessive drive to achieve one's dreams. These individuals are not dreamers who sit idly by, they are doers. Once they set their sights on a future objective, they pursue it with a singular focus that can border on the aggressive. They are often attracted to cutting-edge fields, technology, aviation, engineering, or radical political theory. They want to live in the tomorrow, and they use their energy to break down the barriers of the today. This can lead to significant success, as they have the stamina to outwork their competitors. However, the risk is a win-at-all-costs mentality that can make their eventual arrival at the goal feel lonely if they've scorched the earth to get there. Managing the heat. The shadow side of Mars in the 11th house is the potential for social isolation through volatility. If Mars is afflicted or poorly integrated, the individual may cycle through friend groups rapidly, leaving a trail of bridge burning in their wake. They may perceive enemies where there are only differing opinions, leading to unnecessary combativeness. To truly master this placement, the individual must learn the art of diplomacy without losing their fire. When they learn to use their Mars energy to protect and empower their community rather than dominate it, they become formidable leaders. They are the ones who can take a disparate group of people and forge them into a unified force for change. Their life's work often involves balancing their intense need for personal autonomy with the undeniable reality that we are all part of a larger human web. Ultimately, Mars in the 11th house is about the courage to be an individual within a crowd. It is the signature of the pioneer who isn't afraid to stand alone for what they believe in, but who eventually realizes that the greatest victories are those shared with others. When Mars in the 11th house moves through the zodiac, the flavor of the individual's social drive and activism changes. Here is a brief look at how this placement manifests in every sign. Aries, this is Mars in its home turf. Social energy is explosive and pioneering. These individuals are often the first to start a movement, but they may struggle with follow-through once the initial excitement wears off. Taurus, the drive toward goals is slow, steady, and immovable. They seek loyal, long-term friendships and are often the financial or material rock of their social groups, though they can be incredibly stubborn in group debates. Gemini, a whirlwind of social activity. They use words as weapons and tools, thriving in intellectual circles or networking events. Conflict often arises through gossip or verbal sparring within the peer group. Cancer, these individuals treat their friends and social movements like family. They are fiercely protective of their tribe, but their social drive is highly mood-dependent and they may take group disagreements very personally. Leo, they seek center stage within their community. Their social drive is fueled by a need for recognition and creative expression. They make charismatic leaders but can become domineering if they feel ignored by the collective. Virgo, the fixer of the group. They channel Mars into organizing, scheduling, and critiquing. They show love for their cause through practical service, though they can be overly critical of their friends' perceived flaws. Libra, a paradox where the planet of war enters the sign of peace. They are warriors for justice and often find themselves fighting to restore balance in groups. They may struggle with indecision when a social conflict requires taking a hard side. Scorpio, intensity is the hallmark here. Friendships are deep, private, and transformative. They are the secret agents of their social circles, possessing a powerful, quiet drive to overhaul social systems from the inside out. Sagittarius, the social adventurer. They are drawn to groups involving philosophy, travel, or higher learning. Their drive is fueled by a search for truth, and they are often the most outspoken, and sometimes blunt, members of their circle. Capricorn, ambition is channeled through networking. They view their social circle as a ladder to success and are highly disciplined in pursuing humanitarian or professional goals. They prefer small, influential groups over large, rowdy crowds. Aquarius, in its natural house, Mars here is the ultimate rebel. They are driven to disrupt the status quo and are attracted to radical or eccentric social circles. They fight for the future and the collective good with detached, logical precision. Pisces, the social energy is more fluid and intuitive. They may fight for the disenfranchised or the invisible members of society. Their drive can be inconsistent, as they are highly sensitive to the emotional weather of the groups they inhabit. The transit of Mars through the 11th house is a high-octane period that shifts the focus from individual labor to collective action. While the natal placement represents a permanent personality trait, the transit functions as a temporary activation of the social engine. It is a season of getting things done through and within the community, characterized by a sudden surge of energy directed toward long-term aspirations and peer networks. The spark of social momentum. When Mars enters the 11th house, your social calendar typically accelerates. This isn't the gentle, drifting socialization of Venus, this is active, goal-oriented networking. You may feel a sudden urge to organize a group event, spearhead a committee, or join a new organization that aligns with your ideals. The transit provides the necessary bravery to reach out to influential people or to pitch yourself to a group that previously felt out of reach. During this time, the concept of strength in numbers becomes a lived reality. You aren't just looking for friends to hang out with, you are looking for allies. There is a palpable sense of us against the world, and you are likely to be the one holding the banner at the front of the pack. Friction and group dynamics. Because Mars is the planet of heat and assertion, its transit through the house of friendship often brings social friction to the surface. Latent tensions within a friend group or organization may boil over. You might find yourself more impatient with talkers who don't do, leading to blunt confrontations or a desire to take over leadership by force. This transit often marks a period of pruning the social tree. The competitive nature of Mars can reveal who is truly on your team and who is merely an acquaintance. While this can lead to temporary arguments or even the end of a friendship, it usually serves a surgical purpose, removing the dead weight of social obligations that no longer serve your future trajectory. Accelerating the vision. The 11th house is the traditional seat of hopes and wishes. When Mars transits here, your long-term goals move from the realm of someday into the realm of immediate action. If you have been procrastinating on a major dream, starting a business, launching a digital platform, or beginning a humanitarian project, Mars provides the kinetic energy to launch. The psychological shift during this transit is from contemplation to execution. You become less concerned with how a plan looks on paper and more concerned with how it functions in the real world. This is an excellent time to launch marketing campaigns or crowdfunding efforts. Lobby for a cause you believe in. Collaborate on technical or engineering projects. Update your professional network, LinkedIn, industry groups, etc. Navigating the fire. The key to handling a Mars 11th house transit is directed aggression. Without a clear goal, this energy can sour into irritability, leading you to pick fights with friends just to have something to do. The most successful way to navigate this period is to find a common enemy, not a person, but a problem. Whether it is a societal injustice, a technical bug in a group project, or a lack of organization in a local club, giving Mars a target allows the energy to be constructive. When the transit ends, you should ideally look back at a social circle that is more streamlined, a set of goals that has gained significant ground, and a community that respects your ability to lead when the pressure is on. Subscribe, like, and share.